The Battle of Gettysburg. An unplanned battle between the Confederate Army of General Robert E. Lee and the Northern Army of General George G. Meade took place in July of 1863. The two armies met by chance when a brigade of Confederates happened to observe a forward column of Meade's cavalry. Although the Battle of Gettysburg did not attain any great strategic gains for either side, it is considered the turning point of the Civil War by most historians. Important people in the Battle of Gettysburg. Robert E. Lee was born in January 19, 1807. He was a military officer who is best known for having commanded the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia in the American Civil War. George Meade was born on December 31, 1815. He was a United States Army officer and civil engineer involved in coastal construction, including lighthouses. He fought with distinction in the Second Seminole War and Mexican-American War. During the American Civil War, he served as a Union general, rising from command of a brigade to the Army of the Potomac. He is best known for defeating Confederate General Robert E. Lee at the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. Richard Ewell was born February 8, 1817. He was a United States Army officer and a Confederate general during the American Civil War. He achieved fame as a senior commander under Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee and fought effectively through much of the war, but his legacy has been clouded by controversies over his actions at the Battle of Gettysburg. James Longstreet was born January 8, 1821. He was one of the foremost Confederate generals of the American Civil War and the principal subordinate to General Robert E. Lee, who called him his old war horse. He served under Lee as corps commander for many of the famous battles fought by the American Army of Northern Virginia in the Eastern Theater. George Pickett was born on January 16th or 25th or 28th of 1825. He was a United States Army officer who became a general in the Confederate States Army during the American Civil War. He is best remembered for his participation in the bloody assault at the Battle of Gettysburg that bears him the name the Pickett's Charge. Causes of the Battle of Gettysburg. The first cause of the Battle of Gettysburg is the war started to swing in favor of negotiated peace. Next, General Lee's troops. General Lee's troops defeated Hooker at Fredericksburg in December 1862. Also, the Confederates won at Chancellorsville, Virginia, in May of 1863 to cause support of the war to further decrease. July 1st, 1863. The Confederate and Union armies met accidentally at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. General George D. Meade took his troops onto the well-defended hilltop known as Little Round Top. July 2nd, 1863. General Meade's troops outnumbered Lee's troops 90,000 to 75,000. The Confederates attacked both of the Union's flanks but were unsuccessful. General Richard B. Ewell attacked the Union's right flank but was unwillingly risking all of his troops. General Longstreet attacked the left flank but could not dislodge Meade's strong troops. General Lee gave orders to General Pickett that was carried through July 3, 1863. Lee decided to attack the center of the Union's lines. General George E. Pickett took 14,000 troops to take to Cemetery Ridge. As Pickett's troops charged the open terrain, they were met by heavy gunfire. The significance of the war. Casualties. Lee's troops suffered 28,000 casualties, 1/3 of the armies of Northern Virginia. Meade's troops suffered 23,000 casualties. Outcomes of the war. This battle represented a major turning point in favor of the Union. This also was a major outcome with politics. The political support started to turn back to the Republicans' favor. The Confederate elections of 1863 went against Jefferson Davis. Fun facts! The Battle of Gettysburg began on July 1st, 1863 and ended on July 3rd, 1863 near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The battle resulted in up to 51,000 casualties, including 7,863 killed and more than 5,000 missing or captured on each side. The opposing generals were Major General George Meade and Confederate General Robert E. Lee. The battle is considered a turning point of the U.S. Civil War because it was the last major attempt by Confederate forces to invade the North. It is immortalized by the eulogy and speeches delivered during the dedication of the Gettysburg National Cemetery, which included the most famous speech by President Abraham Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address, which was delivered on November 19, 1863. Despite the heavy losses, the North was considered victorious because the Confederates returned to Virginia. The Confederates attacked the North, and the Yankees entered the battlefield from the South. There were about 95,000 Union troops and 75,000 Confederate troops. There were a total of 23,040 Union casualties and an estimated 22,000 Confederate casualties. John F. Reynolds was the only Union general killed during the battle. Francis C. Barlow was the youngest Union general. He was 28 years old, and he was hospitalized as a casualty in the Confederate Field Hospital and was recovered when they departed.